All right, it's time for another construction update at the Public Safety Building. You remember Jared you got a nice hat there, buddy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're inside the police facilities on a very active day, Jared.
Yes.
You said it was going to be cruising since the last time we saw you.
Right.
Every time I say, holy moly, it's really moving. They're moving.
Yeah, they're moving really quick out here. So as you can see behind us, right now they're doing the topping slab pour. So on top of that precast that we talked about a couple months ago, they're pouring the final concrete, which will get this floor to its final elevation. So big milestone here.
And if you're as we look around here too, what is on the, kind of set us up here on how we got to this spot?
Yeah, so like we said, we talked about the precast got set into place. You can see around the structural steel framing got set. And then now, you know, what we're standing on here is some welded wire fabric or some reinforcing for that slab. And like I said, they'll pour the topping slab and then they'll get going on the interior framing.
And then how do you make sure that this is working? Like, do you have to test it? Do you have to make sure it's all good? Because it looks like you would pour and walk away, but maybe not.
Yeah, no, that's quite the process. The Cullen team does a pre-pour inspection, so they kind of check for quality, make sure, you know, penetrations are through, everything's up to speed there. And then there is a testing company that kind of tests the concrete mid-first truck pour. They take concrete cylinders to test the strength of this concrete. And then they do a slump test to ensure it's up to the specifications.
And how long, are they gonna finish this all in one day today? Like, will they be done with this pour when they finish?
He's got the bulkhead right there, so they're almost done with today's pour. But to answer your question, that'll cure out. You know, they'll be walking on it later this afternoon to cut some control joints. And then in about a week, you know, to be up to strength where they can start putting equipment and lifts up here to kind of do rough-ins and things like that.
Well, we've moved from the cool pouring stuff out to the cool drilling stuff.
Right.
The geothermal, what is geothermal first off, Jared, and what are they doing?
So right now what they're doing is they're drilling the wells that go, you know, about 400 feet down. And what they're doing there is kind of getting the heating and cooling from the center of the earth, bringing it up, circulating it into the building. And there's a loop that brings it back down and pushes it back below ground in these wells that you see them drilling on right now.
How many wells are we putting in for this?
So there's 54 total wells on the site spread throughout kind of this whole area behind us.
Yeah, we were looking at it before. You can see some of the done ones. You can see some of the flags in the other spots. How long does it take to drill one well?
On a good day, they can probably get a hole a day is the goal. And right now they got 2 crews out here drilling. So the one behind us here, that's a mud drilling operation. And the other one that's not set up yet, it'll probably be set up here in a little bit, is kind of air and water drilling.
And that process, what were we expecting timeline-wise because the last time we said, hey, they're about to get started, when will they wrap this up?
Oh, that's a good question. The goal is to wrap it up kind of late summer, so the Cullen team can then focus on getting all the asphalt, the curb and gutters, the landscaping in before winter sets in. So that's kind of why you've seen them ramp up now here with 2 crews to kind of accelerate the drilling so they can finish all the site work before winter sets in.
And that's a good point. We are standing, what will this area be when they're done drilling?
Good question. This is going to be basically your main drive-in for the police. On the other side here will be their garage door. They'll have an indoor covered parking, which I think is a good thing and long awaited for the PD team. And then outside here, there'll be a pergola, kind of like a break area, parking for, you know, municipal staff and everything else. So it'll be a surface lot out on this side.
All right, we've now moved into the garage area, the underground parking for our squads and equipment. It looks pretty cool in here, you know, it's big.
Yeah, nice open, big space. So yeah, it'll be nice to have covered parking for all the squads. And like you said, there are motorcycles, the bikes, all that stuff will be housed down here.
Tell us we kind of talked about it in the early stages, but kind of how did we get to this point from start to continuing? You can't say finish,
yeah,
but.
No, I mean, kind of big picture, they poured the concrete pad foundations, footings, set the precast, right, to give you this kind of big core. You can see on these walls, they infilled with CMU block. And then it kind of, you can see around us, you see a lot of stub ups. Those are for future electric vehicle charging stations. You can see some of the trenching going on. This is for the underground plumbing, you know, the snow water that melts off the cars, so it doesn't just sit on your slab, it'll go to the storm and run out of the project. So not a ton going on down here because it's just a parking space, but you know, like I said, the electric vehicle charging stations and some underground plumbing, which is what you see going on right now.
When will they pour the final floor here then?
Yeah, so we were just up top. They were pouring, the idea was to pour the topping slabs, get all that in for anything. You could kind of see a little bit of stuff seeping down. They didn't want to pour this first and have stuff on top of it. So once the topping slabs are done, the Cullen crew will mobilize, come down here, and then start peeling away at the slab on grade. So I'd say in a week, 2 weeks, they'll be down here working on it.
All right. All right, boy, this tour has been pretty awesome. We're closing out here talking about the exterior, Jared.
Yes.
It looks like things are starting to frame up here
Right.
on the what I would call the front end of the building, but you'd probably say the...
Yeah, this is the main entry here.
It's right
to the future police station. You know, we talked previously about the steel structure, the skeleton of the building. That's the gray stuff. And then just over my shoulder here, you can see the infill that we talked about. You know, that's the cold form metal framing going on. And then you'll start to see like a yellow sheathing, which is on the other south side. And then shortly after that, they'll start spraying the air and vapor barrier, which is kind of the building skin. That's gonna, you know, protect against the, you know, moisture and things like that. So
a couple of things. So we had road closures so we had first on Lacey Road. That went actually pretty quick.
Yeah.
And now we have Research Park Drive closed. What happened in those two areas?
yeah, so they stubbed in the water to the building off of Lacey, and then here on Research, you know, they're relocating some like telecommunications manholes, doing some storm, doing the sidewalks, and then changing Research. The parking's getting reconfigured a little bit.
All right. As we close out, we always look ahead. So a lot of things moving here. Tell us a couple of things that are coming up.
Sure. So continue with concrete pours. You know, so we talked about finishing the topping slab. Shortly after, they'll go underneath and start pouring that slab on grade. Like we talked about, the exterior sheathing is going to continue, and then you'll start to see the spray fluid waterproofing, the air and vapor barrier going on the building. So it's going to turn from yellow to blue. Probably near the end of the month, you'll start to see masonry mobilized. So they'll start to do the facade of the building. Once the framing gets far enough along, that'll get them enough to do the parapets, which will allow the roofing to start. And really just trying to focus on getting the building weather tight so they can start working on the interior finishes.
And then finally, I think people have a lot of questions. We hit our first big 90-degree week. How does crews handle the hot weather? Because I'm looking around here, and these guys are amazing that they've endured this type of pain for so long. But what do those safety measures look like on these hot days?
Well, first, lots of respect to the trades. You know, it's not an easy job. They're out here 8 to 10 hours a day. So, I mean, mad respect for that. But I would say it's just trying to take breaks, you know. Sometimes you got to force them to take breaks, right? Especially in these temperatures. Lots of water, you know, ice, and shade the best they can. You know, I know Cullen's got a couple trailers where the guys go in and kind of try to get recovered slightly before they come back out in this. But I think the most important thing is staying hydrated and taking lots of breaks.
Yeah, safety first is, I mean, crucial to any construction project, but during these hot and extreme weather days, I mean, you got to take some time, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, well, I appreciate the tour. We're looking forward to continuing to be on site here moving forward.
Definitely.
And discussing what's coming up next. So, Jared, thank you so
Sounds
much.
good. Thank you,
thank
Jeremy.
you to the Cullen team as well. That's Matt behind the scenes has helped us as well. So we'll hopefully get him on camera next time too.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.